The night was growing late, and the snow wind was rising. The sky was blackened by the storm. The air was full of snowflakes. But it was quiet all around, for the snowflakes did not fall as yet. They only hovered over the earth and vanished. They came from no one knew where, whirling in large circles and vanishing again. The old man who had brought in the fire sat before the oven, staring into the stove, and the smoke made his face redder and redder. He was thinking of his wife. She was dead long ago, but he remembered her every hour, every minute, and thought about her so intently that she seemed to him before him. He was happy as he remembered her, and was continually thinking how happy she would have been had she been alive. And it seemed to him that she loved him and was tenderly watching him. "How warm it is here," said Tanya, coming in and taking off her white cloak. "I am stifling." "You are always complaining of something or other," replied the old man. "And what are you thinking about?" "Oh, about many things. But there is nothing to be glad about in all our trouble. And how are things going on with you, Tanya?" "Badly enough, and it is not only here." "What do you mean? It is the same everywhere, I suppose." Tanya went up to the oven and, putting her ear close to it, began listening. The old man asked her what she was listening to, and she replied that she was listening to the oven and could not understand why it was not baking. "I'll tell you," said the old man. "It is because there is no one living now who could eat what it might bake." "Why so?" asked Tanya. "It might make some nice little pies for us." "I'll tell you why. We are all dying of hunger. We are all perishing for want of bread. There is nothing to be found anywhere, neither fish nor flesh. The wolves devour our sheep. We are eating each other, and all the while we expect someone to come to our aid and feed us." "Oh, you are a fool," said Tanya angrily, and went out of the hut. "That's just like Tanya," thought the old man. "She says such foolish things." But suddenly Tanya came back to the oven and said, "Listen, there is someone talking outside." "That's a woman's voice," replied the old man. "No, a child's." "A child's voice!" exclaimed the old man. "Why, I don't know any children now except ourselves." The old man went up to the oven and listened, but could hear nothing. "You must be mistaken, Tanya," said he. "I heard a woman's voice." Yes, a woman," answered Tanya. "I hear her distinctly. She says, 'Why did you not come to me when I called you?' I don't know you. Are you not my husband?" "No." "Then why did you not come to me when I called?" "I don't know." "Are you not my son?" "No, I'm not." "Then why did you not come to me when I called?" "I didn't know who you were." "Oh, you are always making up tales." "It is a woman's voice," replied the old man. "You are a fool. What a thing to say!" "Oh, what are you saying, Dmitri? Why do you talk that way? What if I am making it up? Aren't we all dying of hunger? I can hear the wolves devouring our sheep every night. Is it not time for us to help each other? And I thought you were not afraid of anything." "What will you have?" replied the old man. "You're always making up stories. You are a fool." "What do you say?" retorted Tanya. "How dare you call me a fool? And I am telling you that I heard a child's voice." "You are lying." "If I am, why don't you go out and see for yourself?" Tanya went out, and when she reached the porch she saw a little girl about 7 years old, dressed in white and with golden hair, sitting on the threshold. "Come here," she said. "Do you want to come in? It is warm here, and there are cakes on the table. But perhaps you do not know who I am?" Tanya stood still in surprise and fear, and she said, "No, I do not know you. How did you get here?" "I came here myself, and I shall not go away again. I came to tell you that we have found food, and I have brought it for you." And the little girl opened her apron and took out a piece of bread, which she handed to Tanya. Tanya looked at her in terror, but the little girl did not move. "Well, what more do you want?" she said to the little girl. "Why did you not come sooner?" "It is only now that you have come." The little girl rose and said to Tanya, "We found the bread here. We were hungry and we ate it. That is why I have come to tell you." "What else do you want?" asked Tanya angrily. But the little girl had already left the hut and was standing by the oven. "I am afraid," whispered Tanya to the old man. "She is so strange." The little girl came nearer to them and said, "Look into the oven and see what I have baked for you." "It is good to live with your parents," said Tanya to herself. "It is better to live with my mother and father than with this crazy old man." But she went into the hut and looked into the oven. She was startled by what she saw there, a roast suckling pig. She seized the little girl by the hand and led her out of the hut, and the little girl went away. saying, "You may take it with you. We have eaten it." Then Tanya said to her, "Come, Dmitri, let us go together. We will go to my mother and father. And when we get there, we will ask them for food. They will give us some, I am sure." The old man did not want to go. "You fool," said he, "we are not going anywhere together. You go on ahead, and I will follow after." But Tanya was stubborn. She refused to go alone. She insisted that they should go together. The old man had to give in, and they started out. They walked along the road that led to the village, and in front of them went the little girl. They were walking very slowly. Tanya was afraid that the little girl would leave her, but she did not go away, and they walked on in silence. Suddenly they saw an apple tree standing beside the road with a large, ripe apple on it. They both looked at it. Then Tanya stooped down and picked up the apple. She looked at it and saw that it was a little wormy on one side. She threw it down and said to the old man, "You may eat it." But he replied, "No, let me eat it." And he bent down and picked up the wormy apple and bit into it greedily. "Now it is mine," said Tanya to herself. "I have beaten him. It is mine." And she took out her knife and cut the worm out of it. Then she put her arm around his neck and said, "Now we are friends." And she smiled at him with a pleasant smile. Then as she walked on ahead, she ate the wormy apple herself, eating all the worm out of it too. And she ate the rest of it as well because she wanted it all for herself. As they approached the village, the sun went down behind the horizon, and it grew dark very quickly. Tanya was frightened. She felt that they were near her home, but she could not run away. She knew that her parents had gone to bed and would not come to meet her, but she was sure that they were waiting for her. She felt sure of it because she heard her father's voice whispering to her from behind the window blinds. "Go on, come in, come in!" She could not see him through the darkness. He was there, however, close beside her, invisible. She went on, but when she reached the gate of the village, she could not go farther. She stopped and waited for her father to open the gate and let her in. She could feel him behind the gate waiting for her, and she could hear him talking to her in whispers. Go on, come in!" She walked on and reached the gate. She felt that he would open it, but suddenly there came a terrible cry. "I am tired." A little girl was standing on the gate and had dropped asleep. Tanya had no idea how the little girl had got there. She was so surprised that she almost fell into the ditch before her father's gate. She called out, "Go away," and pushed against the gate. Her father had been sitting on the steps before his hut waiting for her and talking to her. As soon as she came, he said, "Why did you not come to me?" She answered, "Go away." She could see him through the darkness. He had a lighted lamp in his hand and was holding it up high above his head. His face looked very pale in the lamplight, like her mother's when she died. And then suddenly she felt him close beside her, and she heard him say, "Do not be afraid." And he took her in his arms and embraced her and kissed her on her forehead, saying, "You are my own daughter, and nothing in this world will ever part us." And he kissed her again and said, "Let me sleep with you tonight." And they went into the house together.